and really glad to have you here. Today, we are going to be unboxing, I haven't unboxed it yet, the new Bilt Palladium card. And I'm going to unbox it live hopefully without doxing myself. And I will tape it up for you so that you can actually see what we have here. So I'm just going to have to look at things individually first. So this is how it comes. I'll also be hopefully improving the lighting in here soon. But this is the Bilt card right here. It says Bilt, and then it says limited edition because we have the mirror finish here. On the back, you can just select this little thing and pull it out. It says open here. All right. Next up. Oops, it's coming out. Boom. There it is. You're seeing it for the first time that I am as well. And you can see there's a pretty decent reflection on it. Let's see if I can get it focused. And there's the little roads. You can kind of see that in the reflection. It's not a bad looking card. So let's see the back of it. I'm going to tape this thing up so that you guys can see the entirety of the card. I've noticed in a lot of the unboxings, you can't really see that. So while we're doing that, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about how I plan to use the card. Before we even get into how I plan to use the card, what's more important to me to talk to you guys is how could you use the card most effectively to avoid any pitfalls of wasted spend. And the real question when it comes to wasted spend is, what is good spend for you? Ultimately, there's a couple ways to approach the points and miles hobby. You can focus on maximizing every dollar that you spend. And when I say maximizing, what that means is getting the highest multiplier for every single dollar that you spend. Now, why is that important is because some people have tighter budgets than others, or some people just want to be a little bit more prudent than others. The reason why prudence is so important is because, your money needs to go to good use. A lot of people get into this game specifically because they want to maximize how many rewards they can get from every single dollar that they're putting out there. And the best way to do that is to focus on the redemptions that you want and then earning as many points as you can per dollar. And that is where getting sign-up bonuses comes in. That is where it's really important to be looking at what redemptions you want and then what point ecosystems are going to get you there best. And the Bilt card is absolutely a fantastic card to get the most that you possibly can for your money. So where Bilt comes in is they've had this new system. And as you guys know, I have a family. So my son is probably trying to come in here and see what's going on. Hey, you can play over there, buddy. I'm just in the middle of talking to some people. And so the question with Bilt is, how do I get the most? What am I looking for? Am I looking for the most points, or am I looking for overall the most points, or am I looking for the highest multiplier per dollar? So every dollar that I spend, bless you, every dollar that I spend, is it going to get me as far as possible? And so if you're talking about getting the highest multiplier, it turns out Bilt has decided that you want to spend as little as possible, well, kind of, to get the most out of your card. It's a little bit of a different approach than pretty much any other card company. They want you to spend generally as much as possible. But if you look at the two different options with the Bilt card, there is option 2, which is the original option. And that was, interestingly enough, they're calling it option 2. That was when you're getting Bilt cash with every dollar that you're spending. And I'm leaving a little bit too many. I'm trying to tape this while I'm talking to you guys. Bilt cash is a useful option for people that want to spend more. But the second option they came up with, which they're calling option 1, is to get a multiplier on your spend. And so the way that they're doing it is kind of funny. You can spend, I think my son left. You can spend as little as you'd like and get $250, 250 points for your housing spend. You could basically spend $1 towards housing and get 250 points. So if you want to do that, there's your 250 multiplier. That's cool and all. All right, so I got it all taped up so I can talk to you guys about the card while holding the card and showing you the card. So this is the back of the Palladium card. The numbers are there, and then underneath you have the CVV, and you have the there you go. Let's see if it's any better. You have the CVV, and you have the date, and then the actual numbers are right underneath. It's actually pretty sleek, but now you can see the back of the card, not just the front. Everybody's been showing you the front of the card, which is, it's okay. But as you can see, it gets smudges really easily. But let's talk about the card. So you can spend, $1 and you're getting 250x on that dollar because they're giving you a minimum of 250. If really it boils down to what is your housing spend. If your housing spend is, whatever, and it's not just your housing spend, it's what money you have access to reasonably. You would be paying for other people's housing if you wanted to do this, and it's going to go through your checking account. So, the awkwardness of the conversation, like, hey, I need you to make sure that the money's in there. I'm not going to, whatever. You can have that kind of conversation if you want, or if you have multiple properties, you can do it all through this if you'd like. But the real interesting thing is the magic number, if you have a lower spend compared to your housing, is 25%. So option 1, the sweet spot, is surprisingly 25% of your housing spend. So if you have $1,000 in housing payments and you spend $250 on the card per month, that's the sweet spot, because that $250 is going to give you essentially whatever the base is on the card, which if you have the Bilt Blue card, that's going to be 1x. If you have the Obsidian card and you're spending in any category, that's 1x. If you're spending in dining or grocery, whatever you chose, that's 3x. If you're spending in travel, it's 2x. And on the Palladium card, everything is 2x. So you're getting 2x base, but you're also going to be getting another 2x by spending 25% of your housing spend. Go figure. So what that means is for the blue card, you're getting 3x on that card just by spending 25% of your housing. So if your housing is $1,000 a month, that's $250. If your housing spends $10,000 a month, that's $2,500, right? But it's a percentage of your housing spend that you're putting in non-housing spend on your card. So let's go through the numbers. You're getting 3x with the Bilt with the blue card. That's 2x plus the original 1x. So it's 3x on that $250. On the Obsidian card, it's again 3x for any category. For travel, it's now going to be 4x. 2 plus 2 is 4. And if you're doing dining or grocery, now that's going to be 5x on that $250. So, or 25%. So again, if your housing is $10,000, that's going to be 2,500. So that's interesting. And also on the Palladium, 2x plus 2x is 4x. So you can get 5x on the Obsidian card. You can get 4x on this card just by putting 25% of your housing spend, of your non-housing spend, but 25% of your housing on the card. Now, that would be if someone has lower spend compared to the other options. But really, the math works out that if you're going to put on the card an extra spend less than 75% of your housing spend, option one, where you're just doing percentages, you're not worried about Bilt cash, is actually going to be your best bet. That's to be able to get on the card. Now, if you're going to put 75% or more on that card, whether it's the Palladium, the Blue, or the Obsidian, then it changes. Then the best thing that you could possibly do is spend on the option two, which is with Bilt Cash. Now, why is that? Because if you spend 75% or more, you're getting essentially 1.33 on that 1%, on that 100% of 75% of your housing spent. So if you're spending 75%, let's say that's $750 if your housing is 1,000, then you're getting 1.33 on top of the multiplier, which is 2x for this card or whatever the other card is. And so in this case of the Palladium, that's 3.33x for the housing spend. Now, what's interesting to consider is all of the different options for Bilt Cash, because with the Bilt Cash option, option two, you are utilizing your Bilt Cash as you so see fit. I'm looking at it from the perspective of what am I willing to put that towards? Well, if I'm going to go to Walgreens naturally anyway, which I am with my family, we have to go pick up medication, whatever it is, $10 a month. For me, it makes sense to make sure that I have the $10 a month in Bilt Cash there to use for Walgreens. For Lyft, I might use Lyft a few times a year. So let's say it's 3 times a year, it's $10 a month that they have available in Bilt Cash. So $10 per month every month for Walgreens, and then let's say $30 total for the year at Lyft. That's $150 at minimum that I'm definitely going to want to use Bilt Cash for. Well, you can do the math and decide, well, I have $150 that I'm definitely going to cash out Bilt points for. I'm earning it 4% each. So that means I have to spend $3,750 on the card, right? Just when I get it, which is pretty much the sign-up bonus worth of spend, right? You have to put $4,000 on the card for this particular sign-up bonus. And you're getting $150 in Bilt Cash for that. And that's sitting there ready for me to use throughout the year. Now, the other question is, how much do I have to spend for my housing? Now, my housing tends to be pretty low, but I'm going to do the math on what my housing spend is. And I'm going to basically do the same thing, divide it by 0.04. And that tells me how much spend I have to put on the card to make sure that there's enough Bilt Cash to cover so that I get 100% of my housing spend. Which actually not by 0.04, it should be by 0.03 when it comes to housing, because you're basically buying points at three Bilt Cash cents per dollar, or per point, excuse me. So after I do that math, that tells me, okay, I have enough Bilt Cash, 150 for things that I'm definitely going to renew for cash. And then I also have additional Bilt Cash there to cover my housing, to make sure I'm earning that 1.33x on my non-housing spend. And after all that's done, now I can decide if I want to start using the point multiplier and get another additional 1x, which I will in my case, or I'm going to decide if I'm going to put extra spend on the card that's not going to be using the accelerator, or not willing to use that cash to pay for the accelerator if I wanted to have excess Bilt Cash for things like the transfer bonus tier upgrades. So you're getting 25% boost in your earnings. And that's really valuable because depending on which one we have, like we have a core limitless for tomorrow. I'm not going to do it for a core, but there are other transfer partners that they have that I would be willing to potentially spend whatever the Bilt Cash amount is that's required to get a little boost. And so that's a reason to spend on the card and not be earmarking that Bilt Cash for the point accumulator. But let's assume that I've spent sufficiently on the card to get the cash that I need for those cash equivalents, the Lyft and the Walgreens for me, whatever that is for you. And let's assume that I've put the spend on the card required so that for the remainder of the year, I have sufficient Bilt Cash to cover the non-housing spend required to get 100% on housing. And then lastly, let's assume that I've spent the $25,000 or a multiple of 5,000 on the card to get the 1x for the point accelerator. I'll call it the point accumulator. What that leaves us with is essentially a 2x card at that point. because unless I'm going to be using the card for further spend, I'm going to only be earning 2x. The Bilt cash that I'm going to be earning at that point, besides $100, cannot be rolled over to the following year. So as much as this card is really pretty, and as much as I want to be, using it as much as possible, and it sounds like fun to use it, the reality is it's probably better for me to put that spend on another card. This is especially true near the end of the year. For me, I'm going to look at my spend in September and November. I'm going to look at my card. I'm going to see, okay, how far away am I from the next tier? Am I pretty close to platinum? And maybe I'll put a little extra spend on the card. Am I pretty close to gold, or how close am I over gold? Those are the kinds of things I'm going to ask. And then I'm going to say, okay, do I have enough Bilt cash to cover the remainder of getting the 1x on the card for the, or 1.33x on the card for the housing spend, to be able to get unlock the 1x? And do I have enough that I'd want to put for another accelerator? It costs you $200 to get $5,000 unlocked, 5,000 points essentially unlocked. Do I have enough time to spend, and enough spend to put on the card for that? And if that's the case, I'll continue. But otherwise, I'm going to strategically stop spending on the card near the end of the year, because there's other cards I could get for sign-up bonuses, and there's other cards that I could use to finish off my spend. And so they have set up a strategy where it doesn't make any sense to continue to spend on the card, especially if you're, not going to hit another 5,000 and spend on the accelerator, or if you're going to be in a position where, it doesn't make any sense to spend more on the card because you're accumulating Bilt cash that you're never going to use. Doesn't mean that the 2x isn't worth it, but for me, I'll probably decide to put my spend elsewhere at that point, at the very least. I might even decide to do that sooner if I have sufficient sign-up bonuses. But aside from sign-up bonuses, which I get and spend on relatively easily, I'm probably going to use this as my catch-all card for that reason. So the question then becomes, if you have a player 2, does it make sense to have a player 2 also get this card? Well, it really boils down to, what is your spend? For me, with my wife, we like to also use our spend on our Hilton Surpass card. And our strategy is to also be spending on that. So for us, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to right this second get another card for my wife. But if I wasn't using Hilton, I think it'd be a no-brainer to get my wife the Obsidian card, because then we could earn potentially 4x on groceries, because you're getting the accelerator plus the 3x if we selected that. And that would be pretty complementary to this. The only thing about that is that, we'd have to be willing to spend what that amount would be on groceries. And I don't know how much money we would spend on groceries with that card, but everybody's different. And there's ways to maximize that spend regardless. So this is the Bilt Palladium card. This is the mirror edition. I think it looks pretty good. It actually has like a pretty dark look to it. And I'm going to share with you, this is the Business Platinum, just so you can see the difference compared to the Bilt Palladium. You can see the mirror is there, but it's a different kind of mirror. This is a dark, dark mirror compared to the Business Platinum. Business Platinum is just a straight mirror. The Bilt Palladium is just super shiny and definitely reflective mirror, but it is dark. It kind of reminds me of the original Bilt card because it has such a tint to it. And then you have that almost holographic design on the Bilt card, whereas on the Business Platinum, yeah, it gets smudges, but if you zoom in, I don't know if this camera is going to do it justice. The details from like the back behind the scene, or behind the icons, is still there. You can kind of see it there. You see what I'm talking about? It almost looks like fingerprints. I don't know if that's intentional or not. But the design that usually goes on an Amex card is still there if you want to make it out. This does not have that. I'm looking with my eye. When I'm looking closely, I can see the reflection of the streets and all that stuff only when I have a light source connected to it. Otherwise, you really can't see those streets. It looks just straight up black with some mirror and a little bit of smudge. And yeah, this thing's going to get dirty really fast, but I would say probably worse than the Business Platinum. The Business Platinum has smudges, but because of that background, you kind of see it a little less. You can still see smudges, but I would say this thing's a little bit more of a magnet for that. But it doesn't look too bad. And then of course the back of the cards right here, you can see the numbers on the Bilt card are black. They're just straight up black. And then on this card, I believe they are as well, but the card itself is black here. So they stand out. I think, no, the numbers were white. I apologize, but it's a black background. So that's the difference in the back of the Bilt Palladium versus the Bilt Palladium versus the Business Platinum. And sorry, I'm getting a call. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So that's basically the difference in the backs of the cards. Want to go back to the fronts? If you're curious about the difference, this is the Bilt Palladium Mirror Edition, and this is the Business Platinum. So there you go. As far as the strategy goes, we're going to see how it goes on the Palladium. Definitely interested to continue to spend on the card for the first time. I think it's going to do a pretty good job of being a catch-all card. Probably better than most other options other than, again, a sign-up bonus. If you have any questions or you're interested in the card, you can certainly write some comments, see if there's anything else that anybody else has any questions about, and we'll happily answer. And the last thing is just a reminder that Rakuten is still available. You can connect it with Bilt, and you can earn a substantial amount of Bilt points. It's going to be in the description below. You can use my link, and you'll get, I believe it's still $50 to sign up with Rakuten. So if you haven't done that yet, it's a great opportunity. And then also to show you more of the card here, I didn't continue to show you the unboxing. So when you slide that open, right, so you can activate your card, and then over here it says earn the richest rewards in your home, neighborhood, and everywhere else. And then it says on the back, points on rent and mortgage. Meets points on rent and mortgage, sorry. So yeah, the richest everyday rewards card. Fair enough. Yeah, we liked the unboxing last time, and they did a great job this time. It's kind of got like a suede feel to the paper. If you're into that, I think it's just a premium unboxing experience. Probably similar. I would say they did a better job than the Platinum in every way, except for the fact that the box just kind of comes in, with a lot of kind of like wear and tear on it, because obviously it's going through the mail. So that's the difference. One last time, I'll show you guys the card here. This is the mirror edition. I haven't seen anybody get the non-mirrored edition, probably because it's limited edition, but that would look pretty good too. It kind of reminded me of the Rakuten card. And here's the back. All right. If you guys have any other questions, or you'd like to talk about other things related to Bilt and content, please let me know. But hopefully those strategies made sense for you. So if to summarize, if you're spending less than 75% of in non-housing spend on your card of whatever your housing spend would be, it seems like option one is going to be your best bet, where you're not earning Bilt cash and you're earning a percentage. You'll probably end up with a higher multiplier, especially with the sweet spot being 25%. And if you're moving over to spending more than that 75% on the card, you probably want Bilt cash. You probably want to prioritize the things of Bilt cash that you're going to put directly into, or it's basically 1-to-1 in Bilt cash. Then the second tier would be the housing spend, of course, because you're getting 1.33 versus just 1. And then lastly, hey buddy. And then lastly, it's going to be, yeah, we're almost done. And then lastly, it's going to be 1x on the point accelerator. And then, of course, you want to have a little bit of cash left over. A, $100 rolls over to the following year. And B, you'll want to make sure that you have sufficient Bilt cash in case they happen to surprise us and do a really desirable transfer bonus in December. That would be my speculative reason to hold a little Bilt cash that will end up expiring just in case they decide to throw us that, because I could see them strategically doing that to make sure that people do continue to spend on the card at the end of the year. Otherwise, I have a feeling most people like myself are going to strategically stop spending on the card near the end of the year just so that their Bilt cash doesn't go to waste. So that's basically it. Thank you guys for your time. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we'll talk more about strategy on the next time. Appreciate it.